What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Kalispell Warhawks Football Dynasty here on NCAA 14. We're going to recap the offseason today that I streamed over the weekend. This is the 7th offseason that we've gone through, and the Warhawks will be making a major change this year, moving to the Pac-12 Conference after playing in the Mountain West for the duration of this series. I've really enjoyed playing in the Mountain West. We've had some good rivalries and some classic games, but it's time for a new challenge after a 14-0 Rose Bowl winning season. Even though we're losing many of our secondary players and our offensive linemen, I still think that with our current talent level and the kind of players we're able to recruit, it's time for us to move to a Power 5 conference, and that's exactly what we are doing. Head coach Leon Daniels has earned a contract extension after another fantastic year, so for 6 more seasons he is under contract. However, he is going to have brand new coordinators this season. When you're a very successful team, you tend to have your coordinators hired as head coaches elsewhere, and we've certainly seen that throughout this series. Steve Russ helped our defense in a big way this year, and he's now the head coach at Florida. That's a great job for him. And then offensive coordinator Paul Graham, who didn't have much experience with us, but obviously our offense was great. He's now the head coach at Maryland. Kalispell had both coordinators leaving, and then 4 players headed to the NFL draft, with Chase Rourke requesting a transfer to Wyoming, and I wasn't able to convince Rourke to stay. We had Shannon Evans here, by the way, as the first round prospect in team history. There is some good news here with our new defensive coordinator, Lorenzo Ward, who was previously from Mississippi State. He is very experienced, and I think he'll replace Steve Russ really well. Then there's Stan McBride, and he does have a little bit of experience from Utah. I like both of our new coordinators. Here are your draft results. The very first round selection in Kalispell history is Shannon Evans. Then you have Bryce Wiley going in the 5th round. James Hampton and Malcolm Tyson each go in the 6th. Finally, this team is showing their pro potential. Now for the last stage of recruiting. I have gone through our top recruits we've already signed on for the future. I'm excited about Maurice Doucette, Jaron Williams, who is a run stopper. Really excited about the great athlete at guard, Johnny Cabral. I feel like he's going to be a really important player for us moving forward, especially to keep our scheme going against faster defenses and better front sevens. Thomas Roberts, that's a big JUCO transfer for us. It gives us a true formidable 2 tight end threat with he and the Mackey Award winning Hayden John Charles. Also, there's Maurice Collins, the severely underrated Maurice Collins, and I think after a few years, he's going to be a well-rounded impact playmaker. Then there's Rick Thomas. It's easy to overlook kicker, but we have a great freshman now joining our team. So with our remaining points for the offseason, we didn't really have that one blue chip prospect to go after. We got unlucky that those battles ended late in the season. We still had some good players here, but most of this was to acquire depth. I put a lot of points into tackle Kenny Watkins. You really can't have too many offensive linemen, especially because transfers have hurt us in the past. I thought Doug Bryant, although a little undersized, could definitely hold up at nose tackle. I had a lot of interest in him because we don't really get as many defensive linemen who are as good at block shedding as him. For Tyrone Houston, I thought he was really important for us to get because Carl Joyce is a really good deep threat, but he is the only true deep threat on this roster, and that really scared me. We didn't necessarily need a running back, but Austin Jenkins' talent was too good to pass up. I'd compare him very closely to Kyle Thomas. They're both a little undersized, and they win with their agility and athleticism. Eric Bullock was a linebacker I thought was pretty well rounded, although a tad slower than linebackers I tend to go after. I just want to continue building depth in that area. And then there's the 6'6 safety, Julius Holt. I wasn't sure about his potential once I scouted him here, but I saw that he might be an intriguing linebacker with his tackle ability, so I decided to put a few points into him and hope that we had the only scholarship offer on the table. James Smith is a speedy run and chase type of linebacker, and I certainly like having players like that. You saw what those players can do with Anthony Owens a year ago and him leading the team in tackles for loss. I ended up putting even more points into Tyrone Houston as I decided who were my favorite prospects. Ultimately, it was Jenkins, Houston, and Watkins that I was most concerned with. Although I was going after a number of prospects here, so I was worried about spreading myself too thin. At the same time, there wasn't a player here I thought would be a starter within a season or two. So on to signing day we go, hoping for some good news to add to our recruiting class. And here's what we got. Eric Bullock decides to not go play football anywhere. Kenny Watkins ultimately picks Stanford by less than 500 points. That was rather unlucky. Bernard Brown becomes a Buckeye. Doug Bryant picks Navy and not by very much. We do get lucky though. Tyrone Houston by 500 points. Also James Smith, the speedy linebacker. Bill Wade chooses Louisiana Monroe. Brian Daly to Oklahoma. Tyler Adams, a JUCO outside linebacker, to Kalispell. Julius Holt picks UNLV. But we do get Austin Jenkins, with Notre Dame not even giving us a battle. Overall, the 45th ranked recruiting class in the nation. I definitely tried to go after some high-tiered prospects and that didn't work out, but definitely our case is stronger for the future and beyond with our success and us moving to the Pac-12 conference. The team with the top class, by the way, was Texas, and I think they're going to be national title contenders here pretty soon. They had 5 five-star players, and pretty much all of them are on offense. We have a 5-star tight end, receiver, running back, and 2 athletes. The only position change I had to make here was moving Glenn Hayes to corner. It's just a more valuable position than safety, and we just graduated 3 cornerbacks. Tommy Jordan might have a chance to play some receiver this year. He'll be a backup. He could be a deep threat if Carl Joyce does go down. I feel like as a backup, I'll try to find a place for him to play, whether it's on offense or defense. Next up, training results. And we had a lot of players moving on, so I was hoping for some good jumps. Justin Colbert is our highest rated player, and he's going to be a backup as a 98. We actually talked for a while in the stream about potentially forcing a transfer from him through basically recreating him on a new roster maybe next year. Brandon Warren, meanwhile, is now a 91 overall. His speed goes up by 1, and he gets even more accurate. I didn't feel like his accuracy was an issue last year. He had a very good completion percentage, and he should be even better as a sophomore. At running back, I feel very good about Kyle Thomas, Terrence McKinley, and Troy Lee, but I'd like to find a way to get more playing time for Marty Belafonte after he shined in very limited opportunities as a redshirt freshman. Everyone's favorite fullback, Bo Lee. He's got all sorts of abilities here. He can play a little quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end. He'll do something as a senior. Mike Harris returns as our top wide receiver. Carl Joyce, though, I think that he could be in for another big season, especially with Noah Monte Jones in the offense. Along the offensive line, our interior gets stronger, but we didn't really have any tackles ready to replace Andre Scott and Bryce Wiley. So we're stronger inside than we are outside. Defensively, I feel great about our ends, Chris Harrison and Marion Triplett. Harrison has a chance, I think, to have a double-digit sack season. I'm really hoping that we have that breakout pass rusher, but it will be a lot more difficult against the offensive lines in the Pac-12 conference. One area I think could definitely be a big surprise is the interior defensive line. Bobby Hill was a pretty good part-time player. He now becomes a starter with Boogie Turner as the 3 technique alongside him. This might be a great Kalispell defensive line. Turner had 6 sacks a year ago and improved throughout the season, while Bobby Hill, I really wanted to put him in a starting role, and now he gets that chance. At linebacker, we're going to have to replace Anthony Owens. I'm not sure who's going to do it quite yet. It could be Xavier Bozeman, it could be Wesley Merrill, Mario Townsend. At cornerback, Michael Hunter becomes a starter after being the dime a year ago. Oscar Bryant becomes the brand new slot corner. Chris Baker fills in for the All-American first-round pick Shannon Evans, and Tommy Jordan could back him up. and maybe play a little bit of cornerback or something. Jamari Akinjide, he becomes the strong safety, filling in for Glenn Hayes, who moves down to cornerback. I'm excited about the big hitting presence Akinjide can bring. I wanted to create one roster spot for a potential transfer next year. Oh look, a 43 overall tackle. And there's not a thing we can do about it. We have to fit the roster minimum, so Derek Johnson stays on the team. Instead, we go to safety, and Ben Burgess, who walked on, doesn't have very good speed or cover ability, so I don't see it working out for him at safety. Up next, it's the big move. No longer in the Mountain West Conference, we retire from the conference with 3 titles in 7 years. We're moving on to the Pac-12. We'll be joining the Northern Division to play teams such as Washington, Oregon, and Stanford. So get ready for some new rivalries to be made this season in the Kalispell Dynasty. Joining us making the move to the Pac-12 will be Hawaii. They're one of my favorite rivals from this series. We faced off in a couple different conference championships. They're headed to the Pac-12 South. I may do a preseason video still going through some of our opponents and a deeper look at the roster after more practice, but know that the jump in competition is going to be significant. Everyone's going to have speed, everyone's going to have depth, and everyone's going to have a quarterback that will challenge us. Our first ever Pac-12 game is going to be against Arizona State at home. So here's what they offer. Spencer Evans here at quarterback, a 93 overall. They have very good offensive linemen. We're going to get very familiar with the great teams here in the Pac-12, and I'm very excited for it. I have not decided yet on our non-conference games, so continue to leave your feedback below as I will finalize the schedule this week. For the remainder of the video, we have a little bit of practice as we see what Kalispell is all about this year. I will be looking to do another practice stream, probably on Tuesday. I do have a dentist appointment in the morning, so as long as I can commentate normally by the afternoon, which I should, then we'll do the off-season practice stream number 2. I will be doing some more player editing and some playbook editing because there are some things I want to change around this year. You're still going to see Brandon Warren and the high-flying play that this offense brings to the table, but definitely with the addition of Thomas Roberts, I feel that we have a new advantage to unleash. In this portion of the stream, we decided to test out Carl Joyce versus Glenn Hayes in a best-of-7 series. Joyce won the first 2 reps, but Hayes can compete, and he bounces back with 2 wins in a row. There's an interception. He evens up the series. Game 5, or play 5, he picks off the pass. But Joyce, not to be defeated quite yet, evens the series at 3. The finale here, Warren up top, and Hayes makes the catch. Now, I still threw the ball a lot to Joyce throughout the stream, and I'm amazed with how good of a receiver he is. He doesn't just make the catches downfield through deep separation. Look at all these tough grabs he's making, and realize I cut plays out of here. This isn't all of his highlights. He's turning into a more complete receiver than I had ever expected. And it's come at a great time after graduating Amonte Jones and needing a new 1-2 punch. He and Mike Harris will do that job. Tyrone Houston will back him up. Maybe be the wide receiver 4 or 5 this season if he's not redshirted. The thing is one deep threat enough? I don't think that it is. Typically, I want a backup for every role on the team. And I think Houston is going to play as a true freshman. We have a lot of competition at running back still. Thomas is going to see majority of the snaps. However, behind him, there's going to be Troy Lee, Terrence McKinley, Marty Belafonte. I do want to try and figure out who the true running back 2 is going to be. I'd say McKinley, Lee, and Belafonte all have a chance. I think definitely McKinley should get a shot too as a 90 overall, the top running back rated on the team. Brandon Warren looked great here in the stream, did miss some throws, but he more than makes up for it with some of his fantastic play outside the pocket. The main changes I want to make this year is to incorporate more twin tight end sets, especially in spread looks. Thomas Roberts is an exceptional tight end. He offers 6'5", 230 size, 83 speed, I believe, and he can block. So he could play receiver if you wanted to detach him from the formation, or he can play in line and either beat those linebackers in coverage or block somebody. So we're going to run a lot of twin tight end sets this year, and I need to add more stuff to the playbook to account for that. Not just your standard like ace formation from the single back, but also some 3 receiver, 2 tight end stuff in the shotgun, and maybe more pistol. I'll find the best fits for 2 tight end formations in here. I haven't really had a situation like this where there are 2 tight ends I desperately want to play at the same time. Defensively, don't expect too many major changes. Schematically, a lot of the things are going to stay the same. Predominantly this year, I plan to run a single high safety defense, so a lot of cover 1 and a lot of cover 3. I want to keep Jamari Akinjide down toward the box as kind of a run-stopping enforcer. I feel that Chris Baker should be talented enough to handle some of those single high responsibilities. I feel like our cornerbacks are solid. I was worried about it, but they've all turned out to have very good coverage ratings across the board. It might still be a step back, but they have talent. We've got to give them a shot. Overall, I'd say our secondary is less talented than last year, especially when you factor in no more Shannon Evans. Our offensive line is definitely not as good as a year ago, but I don't think the drop-off is going to be too severe. We'll see if that's the case, however, at tackle. At wide receiver, I still feel very good. We lose Amonte Jones, but add Thomas Roberts, and Carl Joyce appears to be ready for a big season. At running back, we didn't lose anybody. Remember, last year, nobody had experience playing, and now we realize that we have some serious talent there. I feel good about Kalispell. I'm not sure what to expect with a full season of Pac-12 play ahead of us, but I'm excited for it. And I want to see your predictions down below in the comments section. What do you think Kalispell is capable of this year? Leave any feedback you have down below. I am looking forward to it. Let me know what you thought of the off-season. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel. And hit the bell for notifications when I post a new video or I go live with a stream. Have a great day, everybody. See you again soon.